The artists are coming out of the artist lounge right now. My name is Justin Brown. I am the executive director, founder of Polloy Art Gallery. Some of my other co-founders are Gary McAdag right there with the cameras around his neck. They document the show. Ariana B right here. A is a new member, but very important. Also, I'm a co-curator on the work we're doing with Any Contemporary. It's going to be a gallery called R.E. Public, Garden Public. Polloy means the masses in Greek. It's normally spelled with I's, but we got rid of those and we replaced them with Y's. A visual artist who did Karen Pope's poem on the wall is Lisa Marie Jackson. And that's Karen Pope. Her brother is a mentor of mine. She's a mentor of mine. Big inspiration, very side neighbors. I'm gonna get her way now.
I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. I'm going to clap for you. Thank you. I'm sorry, I teach little children how to fight. And my big thing is clapping. So please forgive me if I say I want to clap for you. But I really do. And I want to thank you for holding space for me as I share my epiphanies. Oh, and this is my wall. I'm hypnotized by something so subtle as a rhythmic beauty which flows from between full parted lips, like hot breath floating across moist, naked skin, undeniable yet invisible. So I am pushed to stumble as if intoxicated, and I begin to sway with desire, hungrily awaiting the fruits of your tongue, languid, sweet, And the pain of anticipation is dulled only by the thought of not being worthy to receive more than what is exhaled into my being. Only after you decidedly put aside that swirling energy reserved for daylight hours and the unenlightened. Now, I lie in the shadow of your hue, that moment in between wanting, reacting, and all I can think is that I want you to breathe me in without pause and open more than my mind. Give me release from isolation unspoken so that my utterances may sing the praises of your caresses. Your mouth wantonly lavishes on me as you kiss my brow, as you kiss me just left of my smile, as you linger over my heat before tasting the wetness of my joy, before you open and enter me fully, deeply, adeptly removing all veiled certainty with every stroke, with every moan. Awakened I have become from my trance, and through my tears you are transformed, and I, anew, baptized with sight which hears more than what you just spoke to me. Another subtlety lost from you, as is the power of your breath, the power you had over me. Thank you.
Next up, we have poet and moderator and curator A. Bowden.
Hi, thank you for being here today. I'm going to use my softest voice. Right. Dancing. High mosquito, dizzy up toward the warmth. It is 6 p.m. here and at least one other place. I walked the wrong way out of the building, and as I looked to the street before I crossed, I saw a chipmunk eating a worm, holding its middle to its mouth, grinding. There is passion in this omen, along with wild lizards and rabbits. the next one. I am not trying to be elusive. I am trying to remain calm. Birds dropping hay-colored plastic and 99-cent barrettes down upon the bus shelter. Pellets of hurricane rain. What happened? I watched you by accident. I looked out my window and there you were, picking up a woman on the side of the road. I wished for her not to get in the car, but she got in the car anyway. This is my last one. A woman sent her online lover, who she has never met, more than $1.4 million. She sits on the Dr. Phil stage crying for herself, for her money, because she can no longer afford her basic needs. Her family cries as Dr. Phil reads her lover's text messages. From day one, I knew there was something in you that no other woman had. They switched the camera from her to the audience, and her eyes are so full of nothing as they reveal a love letter scam website that has word for word the text he sent her. Her lover had yellow fever and could not come to see her. 9 lives gone in a basement, and they could not stop her husband from running through. The president sung blackness as entertainment to get the congregation through it. When I busted my head open, the scab shined and formed on my skin like sweating blackberries. My cousin gives me a St. Mary medal, golden with waves, her body in the back of the complex. They tell you not to go when they have nobody for you to name. I want out of mine. A reporter says, hate crime, posh like hate crime. But when the sun comes up, I will still be mourning, with my breath making mud naming rivers, with heartland names I cannot pronounce. Hairstyles of homegrown terrorism, bowl cut, buzz cut, undercut, unkempt, become the visualization of my American fear. Rider, road bike, bug, I pick you up in a RAV4. Some ally posts something. He posts a picture of a man with a bowl cut, a series of pictures. He stood in front of important African American locations. What is desensitized in this camera? They co-opted Carrie Mae Weems. Trip time up and show me the shoes, the keys and the stuff, melted shut from the heat. She takes pictures of us after with the flash on. Sent it to me months later, and there he is, giving me the A-OK. Thank you.
Yes, space! My best friend!
Alright, so I've had horrifying creative block for the last 7 months. It's been real bad, and that's why I haven't done anything. But I forced myself to write this, and I had an epiphany, so it is appropriately titled Epiphany. Epiphany. My creative process isn't like other people's. Inspiration doesn't come in waves. It's a flash, or a slice, or sometimes a speckle, piece by piece, that comes in its own time. I've tried everything to speed up the creative process. You name it, I've done it. Coloring, smoking weed, listening to jazz music, not smoking weed, listening to classical music, psychedelics, writing with pen and paper, social media detox, writing with my left hand, sensory deprivation tanks, aka float tanks, fasting, forest bathing, binaural beats and healing frequencies, driving a new way home, meditation, taking public transit, yoga, this one, eating only blue-colored fruit to unlock my throat chakra. Didn't work. I watched all the TED Talks, all the lectures, and I've even talked to other creatives. How do you get over creative block? And it's always the same answer. They just do it. They just make something. But I couldn't. Could I? I'm told to fall in love with the process, but I'm not even sure how to court the process, let alone fall in love. Where do I meet the process? How do I know I'm their type? Does the process even like black girls? I'm such a perfectionist, such an editor that I'm refining new concepts before they arrive, and then I wonder why I'm not content with it. I'm such an editor that I'm editing these snippets when they arrive, and then I wonder why I can't put anything together. Like, why can't I create anything I like? I'm sitting down and I'm making myself work, but it doesn't always work because the internal editor comes out and then I just start making changes. For me, like, sitting down and getting straight to work doesn't always work because the editor comes out and then we're in editing mode. So here I am, I'm writing without editing, and it's hard. I'm thinking, I'm allowing my mind to breathe, and the words are coming as they will, when they will. You know, the only time I don't edit is when, the only time I'm content with my work is when I'm writing in my journal or when I'm taking notes. Because it's just for me. There's no pressure to be perfect, because it's, epiphany. It just hit me. I'm putting pressure on myself to impress other people. Because like, when there's no audience, like no potential audience, like other than just me, words go all over the place. I find my voice when it's just for me. I guess my creative process is like other people's. Inspiration comes in waves, or a flash, or a slice, or sometimes a speckle, piece by piece, that takes its own time. When other people say just do it, they need to say just do it for yourself.
Bree, please.
Yeah, Bree!
I'm gonna sit on this chair because it's here.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm Bree.
Hey, Bree.
I'm gonna read an excerpt from my piece that is in Epiphany. And the piece is an essay called, wait, I know I named it something besides Epiphany, but it's Epiphany in my Google Docs. Well, it's pretty sure it's something different in the publication. When my cousin, a kid that I would see occasionally when he visited his grandparents a few doors down from me, moved to Miller, which is the area by the beach in Gary, my experience of the beach broadened and deepened. The part of the beach where he lived was very different from the spots where I'd hung out before. It was where all the white kids from neighboring towns in northwest Indiana came to party, and they partied hard. Some of them had boats that idled just off the shore where they blasted the latest pop and hip-hop hits. Booze and unrelenting sunlight dulled their judgment. Fistfights often broke out. We even saw a couple humping under the meager cover of a beach towel. It was crazy to think that I had never knew about this teeming microcosm, despite living in the city for most of my life. Teeming made that really gross. I didn't notice it before, but yeah, it made it, yeah. I came to call this part of the beach Region Ratchet Spring Break. I was intrigued, but it was not my type of scene, and the novelty wore off quickly. My cousin had a favorite spot to get away from the chaos of Region Ratchet Spring Break. You walked east along the shore until you found a corridor in the sand that led up to a ridge in the dunes between the beach and the wetlands. The view was both breathtaking and breath-giving. The wetlands were a replenishing inhale, and the shore a rushing exhale. One night, we sat on the peak of the tallest dune to smoke a blunt. My cousin had his Bluetooth speaker, a gaudy thing with unnecessary flashing lights. He put on Kanye West and Jay-Z's new collaborative album, Watch the Throne. We talked our usual shit for a while, but soon we fell silent, letting the music and the landscape overtake us. The album matched the expansive sky in a way that I didn't expect. Each song was like an elaborate room in an ungodly large palace. The best part was that we could see ourselves in that elite dwelling through Jay-Z and Ye's melanated pores. Our imaginations unfurled and quaffed the air that we'd been missing in the limited trajectories of our urban existence. There's that. You have to read that. I think I'm gonna read something that I worked on in my MFA class. So just based on the titles, would you guys rather a poem called A Remedy or a poem called YouTube Fish?
A remedy. A remedy.
Okay, I think I'll do that. A remedy. I guess that's not the best method because people can just say the thing they want more than once. A remedy. But what about the fall wind piercing a sweater and blowing leaves on a suburban curb? Can it weather the angles of a raw moment rent from the warmth of nostalgia? Can it soothe the confabulations tweaking in my fingers? Right here and now, the most untenable quandaries. It'd be cool if I could reach into a cabinet full of expensive sensations and know exactly what to apply. What about a cotton candy lightness diffusing slowly in branches, illuminating my periphery? A song that I listened to over and over 5 summers ago that I've completely forgotten. I feel dizzy just thinking about the pit from which that platitude emerged, but it'd be nice to gather all my coping mechanisms with a tidy length of ribbon, severed perfectly without a single stray thread. More often, something trifling. A shake of ice at the end of an iced Americano, a push of shade at the bridge of my non-threatening nose, my name and relevance italicized in the lower corner, an obsessive laser emerging from my third eye. I'm safe within the confines of perpetual disdain. 1,000 fictions roiling in the atmosphere, one hand too smug to clap. If I whistle, will sincerity come trotting alone? Thank you.
Thank you, Bree. Tea's next.
Yeah,
Okay, so I really do want to read what's inside the publication, but I wanted to read something that helped me to have an epiphany about myself, and then kind of expand on that. Literally for 2 years now, I've dreamed of a bridge. In writing this conclusion, I fight the myriad of voices that live inside of me. The voices that stop my pen at every turn of the page. They are the voices that tell me here I should be talking more materialistically about the oppression of women of color. That I should be plotting out a strategy for third world revolution. But what I really want to write about is faith. That without faith, I dare not expose myself to the potential betrayal, rejection, and failures that lives throughout the first and last gesture of connection. And yet, so often, I've lost touch with the simple faith I know in my blood, my mother. On some very basic level, the woman cannot be shaken from the ground on which she walks. Once at a very critical point in my work on this book, where everything I love, the people, the writing, the city, all began to cave in on me, feeling such utter despair and self-doubt, I received in the mail a card from my mother, a holy card of St. Anthony de Padoue, her patron saint, her special saint, wrapped in plastic cover. She wrote it in Dear Cherry, I am sending you this prayer of St. Anthony. Pray to God to help you with this book. And a cry came from inside of me that I've been sitting on for months, cleansing me out, a faith healing. Her faith in this saint did actually once save her life. That day, it helped me continue the labor of this book. I'm not talking here about some lazy faith where we resign ourselves to the tragic splitting in our lives with the upright turn of the hands or victorious beating of our breast. I'm talking about believing that we have the power to actually transform our experience, change our lives, save our lives. Otherwise, why this book? It's the faith of activists I'm talking about. The materialism in the book lives in the flesh of these women's lives. The exhaustion we feel in our bones at the end of the day. The fire we feel in our hearts when we are assaulted. The knife we feel in our backs when we are betrayed. The nausea we feel in our bellies when we are afraid. Even the hunger we feel between our hips when we long to be touched. Our strategy is how we cope, how we measure and weigh what is to be said and when, what is to be done and how, and to whom, and to whom, and to whom. Daily deciding, risking, who is it we will call an ally, call a friend, whatever the person's skin, sex, or sexuality. We are women without line. We are women who contradict each other. This book is written for all the women in it, and all those lives our lives will touch. We are a family who first only knew each other in our dreams, who have come together in these pages to make faith a reality, and to bring all of ourselves to bear down on this reality. It is about physical and psychic struggle. It's about intimacy, a desire for life between all of us, not settling for less than freedom, even in the most private aspects of our lives, a total vision. For the women in this book, I will lay down my body for that vision. This bridge called my back. In the dream, I am always met at the river. I think when I first read that, I think I read it about like 3 years ago, and I think it was like a really critical time in being like a Black woman and all of the things that come along with like when you keep evolving in yourself and you keep kind of redefining yourself, and like being a Black woman in America is always the shedding that you do because you come to a point where it's truth and freedom, and that truth and freedom feel like they're pulling away from each other because you don't know what it looks like, because something that was a great epiphany to me and something that's been revealed to me again is the first gentrification that happens is in your heart. And when you're Black, your actual personhood has been gentrified. So the space around you being taken doesn't even really mean anything because the first place that someone took your right to exist was inside of you. And then you spend so much time when you're growing into yourself trying to get everyone out of you so that you know who you are. And when I read that, I can't do it without the faith of the mothers and the mothers and the mothers and the mothers and these women who had to exert this pressure to live and to get this thing outside of them so that I could exist, so that I could have this freedom that they had to go to another space to experience because their physical lives were such hell. And I live in a lot of pain because I don't feel like I just got here. I feel like I've been living this pain and I'm trying to exercise and get this demon out of me and try to figure out who I am and who I've been and where I'm at. And so these experiences, these epiphanies, they come in waves, they come in small amounts, they come in like real severe breakdowns. It's not easy, and it's not comfortable, but it's like my birthright to be free, to live my truth, to have epiphanies, to live in this space where I'm always kind of ethereal without trying to be. Like, it's so much. And reading that book a few years back, it gave me, I needed to see the word faith. Like, I needed to see it and I needed to claim it, because there's so many dimensions to who I am and who I get to be. And I'm always constantly being revealed to my own self. And it's a powerful revelation every single time. And that doesn't make it comfortable or easy to even translate in words. Sometimes I feel like even saying words just never feel like enough. I feel like it's never enough words to express how delightful the experience is that I get to be me. But at the same time, I really wish that if something could just come and beam me out of this existence so that I never have to remember it, because I never want to come back here again and live in this kind of hell to exist as a Black woman in America. And so it's like this constant weighing of truth and freedom and finding myself like constantly being split apart. And so I think when I read that a few years back, and still when I read it, it's just one of the most beautiful things. It was because it's a love and it's a truth and it's a freedom that comes from being birthed into something and knowing someone gave something and birthed you into it because they felt and understood all of the potential in you to do something that they didn't have the strength to do, or that they knew that they would have to give up for you to have. And so, like, I am the bridge to myself, and I'm constantly and I think that we all are. When we're going through these different life cycles that we have, we're constantly coming back to ourselves, leaving ourselves, coming back to ourselves, and gathering how do we actually live and make peace with that we exist. And so that's one of my epiphanies.
Thank you so much for reading my piece. Bella, you're next.
This is the director's cut of the piece in EPIPHANY. The barista said the coffee will heighten my clairvoyance. I smiled to be polite as my father unwrapped the rubber band he uses instead of a wallet and paid with cash. I pointed my shoulders towards two stools near a tall window overlooking the Russian River's gray estuary flooded with rain. I thought he would want to soak up what natural light he could through the overcast, but I let him guide us through the cafe's empty seating. Once out of the barista's earshot, he leaned toward me to say, I don't believe in clairvoyance. I didn't know my father well, but I knew my grandma well enough to intuit that my father was suspicious of what he did and didn't see with his eyes. As we sat, he inspected my reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows. And what do you think? I said I wouldn't want to know another's thoughts, at least not with any precision, and then watched his eyes roll in the window. That was fair, I didn't believe me either. Then he asked why I went to the border. He did not say, how was your trip, or what did you do, but specifically, what was your purpose for going down there? He had a firm tone, and I felt like he knew and was hiding the answer from me. Unsure, I sipped some magic. I had only returned from Teayarnna that morning. The trip had been easy for my body, protected by necessary papers, but my thoughts were hard. Well, I had some things to figure out. He tasted his coffee and asked with a softer voice, how did that go? I said, in a way, it's still going. Our appearance was a history encasing us. The oldest of 4 children, my father immigrated at 18. They all look like me, dark almond eyes, almost black pearls, and red tones in the sun. A skin color white people often call olive because they don't want to say brown for reasons that vary in their racism. But his younger siblings sound like they grew up in the States. My father, however, has a predominant Colombian accent. Folks here often use his voice to dislocate him. When I was a toddler, my father abandoned my mom and me, and thereafter interrupted my child in 3 to 6 year intervals. In my mid-20s, he began flying me out to his home in California. On our visits, my father would buy me ordinary, useful things like jeans when only bought once every 20 years and bulk food from Costco. And he seemed relieved when I would accept them, as though he had paid towards a debt. Stories from his life only came into our conversations apologetic and piecemeal. Once he held up a beer glass with only a few sips left to represent how much Spanish he remembered. Then he set the glass down. He said he didn't belong in any one place. I overheard the barista detain a new customer with his speech on the magical properties of the copper pour-over. My father raised his eyebrows to acknowledge he too was eavesdropping. With the silence broken, I resumed my story. I could have used you yesterday when my translator almost quit on me. My client at the legal clinic in Teayarnna set a photograph of her dead husband on the fold-out table. She and her child traveled from Guatemala with a few hundred other migrants to present their asylum claims at the border. The client leafed through dog-eared papers in an accordion folder and balanced her 5-month-old baby on her hip. I assured her of the photo's importance. We'll scan this and go over how you can access files in the cloud afterwards. Then I paused to give Frida, my translator for the afternoon, a chance to enter the conversation. Some dry skin itched on my neck. Frida didn't make a sound. I looked at her. Her heavy, dark ringlets spiraled down her shoulders like veins in marble. She had thick rimmed glasses and brimming tears. I was accustomed to courtroom translators who spoke simultaneously with the client or with frequent pauses to repeat in English what was said verbatim. But Frida was a volunteer, so I clarified that I would like her to translate all of what I had said. Frida swiveled in her seat to face my direction, but she stared through me with no light in her eyes. I realized I had to bring back Frida. Lo siento, I said to the client, and I interrupted myself to rack my brain for a Spanish verb. This was how I translated with such a sparse vocabulary. Pick a word, any word. Necesito un momentito. My grandmother taught me to be polite with them, diminutive, but this was still curter than I would have been with a client in English. After some words that I didn't understand, the client stood up with her child and pointed at the manila folder. I gave her a thumbs up, indicating that she could leave it with me. A soft reflex closed her finger into her palm, and I read the gesture as an acknowledgement of her reprieve from monitoring the documents. She then quickly vanished behind the bedsheet curtain that cordoned off the clinic. I felt like the client had said she would be back in a minute, so I set to work on Frida. I placed my hand on the table in front of her, trying to demonstrate that we were here together. Frida, I peered into her eyes with a slight warmth, the 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. Her eyes remained glassy, distant. I leaned toward her and raised one eyebrow to communicate that we must continue. Hey Frida, I need your help, she said. Her husband was a taxi driver. I said, thank you, Frida. That's a good start. Her eyes refocused on mine. As she wiped a tear streak away with her palm, I reflexively picked the patch of stress eczema into an opening. We have returned to our bodies. How about you take a minute? Frida disappeared behind the sheet into the cluttered 3-story anarchist cafe and social center that had been converted into a shelter. The building offered migrants a kitchen, nursery, clinics, and whatever space necessary to remake their lives in the midst of violent change and exhaustion. People here walked here from all over the earth. At the moment, the passage by boats, planes, buses, and meat that deposited migrants on the shelter's wooden patio often began in Central America, the Caribbean, and Cameroon. The former cafes, tables, chairs, and stairs gave the migrants ground to rest and gather, donating clothing, shoes, and bags lined the concrete walls of the terrace. On the ground floor, migrants cooked meals for hundreds twice a day. Rice fragrance traveled up the stairways. One level up, a rotation of volunteer doctors, nurses, and herbalists treated wounds, dehydration, and viruses that have common vaccines in the U.S. They also prepared forensic reports to document trauma in a form legible to the Department of Homeland Security. The legal clinic had taken over the second level after roughly 300 trans migrants had been sleeping on its cement left to cross at a smaller, hopefully less hostile port of entry in Arizona. The translators and attorneys still folded and stacked the tables and chairs every night in case emergency sleeping quarters were needed. I waited with a photo of my client's former husband, only half covered by the manila. The folders' corners had rounded and peeled back as though they jostled papers and spit up towels in the client's bag and rubbed away the fiber after 1 month of walking, busing, and waiting in checkpoint lines. With Frida in mind, I slipped the dead husband's body back into the freighted pile. Children who were either too old to sit still or too young to busy themselves on their phones during their parents' medical and legal consultations ran around with plastic trains and collapsed onto the red and white plastic picnic tables where other kids painted with watercolors. All the other clinic triads sat around me, into a stirring trauma thought. I marked the passing seconds with discrete stretches to prevent my muscles from going stiff. I elongated my spine perpendicular to the table and rolled through clicking cartilage in my ankles and wrists. Then I resumed picking at the sore on my neck, mixing the dirt under my nails with blood. The client brushed back the sheet and Frida came in tow. Before sitting at the table, Frida deeply exhaled as though she emptied the water from a vase. I realized that I had been holding my breath. I mimicked Frida. I drew in a gulp of air. The aroma of cooked white rice from the kitchen downstairs reanimated in me, a sense of fullness and displacement in one movement. The client talked with her hands, and a few wisps of fine brown hair slipped from her ponytail as strands waved from the hairline at her temples, seemingly mechanized to follow the motion of her fingers in an assembly line of gesticulation. At times, her hands halted in the air, and she concentrated her gaze on my face, as if trying to project the images from her memories into the lenses of my pupils. I couldn't understand a word, but I had enough active listening training to intuit when to wince with commiseration and lift my eyebrows with hope. Frida nodded with a ceaseless rhythm that made me wonder if she was listening. The client stopped after several minutes, and Frida reported that the gangs had come to her house and robbed her and took her husband's taxi. That could not be everything she said. Frida said, well, she talked a lot about going to the soccer field where they killed her husband and how she got a call for more money after. I said, Frida, we both know that the U.S. doesn't want her, right? The flesh around my wound was hot and ached. I cupped my flesh skin to prevent my fingers from making the problem I had made worse. I said, we need to prepare her to be specific with the asylum officer. When would come up in the interview, I asked the client, how long after your husband's death did you receive the call? Frustrated by how uninhabitable the United States was and the uniform ways it was always becoming, I had left for Teayarnna out of simple complicity. I wanted to help people cross the border, but the states required firmness to take the hits and hold up others in the midst of their taking, and despite all my adjustments, a statuesque rigidity kept creeping into my muscles. The state reduced everything to the body, and the body to an individual composition, exacted to its endurance.
Ari's next.
Hey, what up, Sean? Hey, oh, Chantel, what the fuck? It's bad in here. Okay, a few things that I wanted to, make sure I didn't forget. Big thank you to Ben and Janine for recognizing strong Black voices in the community and always lifting us up. I love y'all so much. Thank you, A, and thank you, Justin, for just being here and being Black.
Love you.
Yeah, I love y'all too. If you know me, you know I'm always criticizing gentrification. I'm always questioning motherfuckers when it comes to space and your proximity to Blackness, and are you profiting off of it without us or not, or what are you even doing here, and do you even care about us? But something has changed in my life, and so I tried to take a different view with my piece. It's about being a mother, because I am harvesting a little one right now. And I took I wanted to pay homage to Afrofuturism and George Clinton. So my piece is called Mothership, because on a conversation on the phone with my aunt, she told me I am a mothership. And I've only ever used that to describe Jasmine, who I call the mothership of the publication. I'm sorry, I just had to say it. But to think about literally I am a spaceship and I'm bringing my little alien to Earth is just incredible. So I just wanted to read a poem that I wrote inspired by the piece that I wrote. If you want to see the piece, you obviously got to read it. So it's called Realization, the Mothership. Well, all right, Star Child, citizens of the universe, recording angels, we have returned to claim the pyramids, partying on the mothership. I am the Mothership Connection. Earlier this year, I became pregnant, and I had a realization about life, time, and space. Childbirth is an ancient ritual. I realized a light a heartbeat besides mine in my own body. Black women have been growing, carrying, and protecting precious cargo since the dawn of time. Each week, this little seed grows, arms, legs, eyes, and feet. Vulnerable being that relies on me. It's crazy. Black women are vessels, ships. I think of generations of black women who were queens, who led their own kingdoms. Then black women who jumped from slave ships into the Atlantic, jumped to save their children and themselves. And the black women who didn't jump. Black women who picked cotton like machines. Black pregnant women on plantations who had holes dug for them to lie their bellies down in while they were beaten. I think about that a lot, especially lately as I rub my belly. I think of the black women whose babies were stolen, sized up, examined like cattle. Black babies that were sold. Black women who fought, ran, and saved others' lives from generational bondage. Black women who cooked food and filled homes and souls. Black women who have raised families alone. Black women who are paid less but work 10 times harder. In late spring, I took a pregnancy test, or more like 6. I wasn't sure if I was ready to mother a human I couldn't imagine. I've co-mothered a publication, a gallery, a music festival. I've mothered writings and even a kitten at home. But I made a decision to take my life in a new direction. Black babies deserve a fighting chance in this world. I don't know if you heard me. Black babies deserve a fighting chance in this world. In the midst of carrying my baby, I've realized how deep my love is for this human. My womb is carrying a special gift, like my mother's womb when she was 20. I never realized how important this would become to me. This precious cargo that's now become the most important part of my life. The mothership connection is a powerful one. I feel connected to my baby, my mother, and all black mothers of time. We've been fighting to protect our bodies and produce more black bodies, more precious cargo to carry on our ancestors' legacies. So put a glide in your stride and a dip in your hip, and come on up on the mothership. Woo!
So beautiful. Tuesday-Xavier Collective is next. It's Tuesday.
That's the whole thing. That's it. It's a long list, so I'm not gonna name anybody. Thank you to everybody who had a hand in making this come true, from the people who hold Polloy to the people who have published this piece, these pieces of all of these beautiful artists. Thank you to, this is a big deal for me because I've never been published before. And so I just saw my parents, and my parents, my sister sent me a package from earlier this year, and I think it's the greatest thing in the world. If you need to know anything about me that's not on my buttons, it's that turtles are the greatest animals in the world, and this is the greatest turtle of all time. I have to name it now. We'll figure it out. And then my mother is Edna Molds from The Incredibles. Like she's literally a fashion designer. So my sister sent me a bunch of stickers and stuff from The Incredibles too, which is great. And then this book, this is not what you came here for. It's called 30 Second Sci-Fi. It was a project on Tumblr. He basically just wanted to write something different every single day, and it's only about, like every story in here is about a page long, and it blows your mind. And then when I was homeless, I lost this book, and I told my sister a long time ago, I was like, hey, like, I don't really miss all the things that I had, but I really want this book back, and she just sent it to me. wrote me a note. It says, so my nickname as a child was Bubble, and it's Bubble, because I was a big SpongeBob fan. And what did SpongeBob do? Blow bubbles. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you developing yourself as an artist. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a listening ear. Above all, I want you to know that you have inspired me. Thank you. I think of you. May you continue to go up, up, up. Love. I don't need it, it's fine. And we're here to be anarchists. No, actually, like, read this and use it, and like, this is amazing. Y'all don't understand. Support local artists. There's tons of people in here who have books, they have merchandise, they have publications that they can follow, other work that they've got going on. So support local artists. It's so much easier to actually get a print of art that's actually unique, and people aren't going to see it a million times, rather than get something at Walmart and then you're like, I just saw that at Jeffrey's house yesterday. This is not an interesting house. I'm sorry if your name is Jeffrey. Don't buy art from Walmart. Same. Also, local artists are better. Okay, so I'm gonna do 2 poems. I'm trying to think of, well, there's a connection between the two. The poem that I'm going to recite. Sorry. I usually break microphones, so it's nice that it just makes a noise. The poem that I'm going to recite is like the most depressing poem I've ever written in my entire life. And then when I was asked to participate in this project, I was right at the point where I was kind of like reaching over the hill of depression and kind of being like, what if I could live this way and still be happy sometimes? Because it's really hard to be clinically depressed on top of the other very heavy mental health stuff that I have going on. It's a whole story, we're not going to get into it, that's not what we're here for. So I'm going to be really depressing for a moment, and then the poem that's inside of this publication will be the second poem that I will read, so you can follow along, or you can not follow along, or you can leave because you've probably read it already, it's fine. Honestly, like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to read through this, and then I'm going to eat and watch Incredibles too. Like, it's fun, it's a good time. I've never actually seen it, don't fight me. I'm sorry. I also have to watch Pose. Anyway, depressing things, less depressing things, and thank you so much for being here and being a part of this, and let's hope I can do this off book. I don't need my camera, I need Google Docs, phone. Sometimes I touch it and it's like, no, I'm not gonna do anything with it. I just wanna make sure I tried this and then I failed and I got halfway through and I was like, darn. But that's a step, I'm never off book. So this is also new to me. I just know what I'm doing. I am different from everyone else around me. And that makes me a target. That makes me threatening. Being different makes a huge difference. Sometimes it feels like voting in this country just doesn't make a difference. Just remember, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, and we're still dealing with 45, and I sure as hell don't want Mike Pence to be 46, but that's a whole nother conversation. The Sea of Red has a voice. The Sea of Red has a voice and a history and an origin story worthy of being published in Marvel, sold for 50 cents and sold again 50 years later for $50,000 a copy. It's called Hey New Pal, why is your mascot still the Red Dragon? Sometimes I feel like the Sea of Red is a nightmare. I feel like instead of parting the sea like Moses, I am just waiting for the walls to cave in. I wake up from the nightmare. The nightstick abruptly ruptures me from my nightmare. I am caught unaware this is hell before you meet heaven, they say, and we pray to God, and this is our heaven. Every Sunday, God rests and he gives us a nigger to kill. Today, we will take you. And I can't fight back, because they've broken my arms. They're trying to make a show of me, so I don't know where my clothes have gone. I can't even scream right now, because my jaw's broken, and rest in peace to Eric Garner, I can't breathe. My ribs are broken too. Everything about me is different, and everything about me is broken. They light a cross in my yard. I can't say I am the proudest Christian you'll ever see in your entire life. If your slave owners didn't hand you a religion, what would you believe? but they must do something to captivate their captive, mostly Christian audience. They swung a neck harness over the strongest branch. And the same people in my neighborhood who cursed and screamed at me for daring to walk the streets are now being cursed and screamed at to walk the streets, to come get one of your own. You had better come get one of your own. We will take you all. You could be 17 walking down the street from the gas station with your hoodie up and a pack of Skittles in your pocket. You could be 75 in a wheelchair just trying to make it home from your bus stop. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you think you are. We will take you all. Do you see how you fear us now? Do you see us with our tiki torches and our chargers and our takeovers in public spaces? Do you see politicians defending us? Do you see how you should defend it? Do you see how you should fear us now the same way you should have feared us then? We will take you all. So they take me because I am different, because I am a target, because being trans is just way too scary if we're trying to keep the status quo exactly where it is today. They take me because I am black, because I may be able to take hormones in a few months, and I may wind up passing as a woman. I may just never mention to you that I have a personality disorder or schizophrenia. I may never mention to you that I'm in therapy and see a psychiatrist, but I will never walk away from the hue on my skin. They take me because I am black, because I am a target, and the people who are at the bottom of the pile are always the easiest to steamroll right over. I live here. I live here in this sea of red. I live here in this nightmare, and I can sleep through that. I can sleep here, but I can't sleep here. This deathbed hangs heavy in this breeze. Salvation doesn't come to freaks and abominations. If God's coming to save me, I'm not sure, because I'm a freak and an abomination. Freaks aren't saved by God. Abominations don't have something coming to them in the afterlife. Just remember that you're a freak just like me. So long you stand up for what you believe in. So long you always tell somebody, I don't have space for Nazis, I don't have space for fascism. So long you believe in the rights of human beings. There's really all a bunch of different things between us, but we are all human beings. Remember that you're also a freak, and you're also an abomination, and that they will come take us all. I don't know who's coming to pick me from this tree. I really hate doing that poem. Terrifying. That came from a really deep place of being depressed and being angry and feeling isolated. I don't feel that way every day anymore, which is a good time. This poem. And one thing I always mention is when you're dealing with mental health problems, I know that people always want to put the onus on the person who is actually suffering from it to reach out and to get help, but that's the thing is when you're dealing with stuff like that, when you feel like no one's going to help you, you're just a burden for picking up the phone in the first place inside of your head, so the last thing you're going to do is actually pick up the phone. So, excuse me, thank you, Mr. Water. Anybody who, just call your friends. Honestly, just pick it up, send a text message, leave a little voicemail or whatever. I know some people don't check their voicemails. I check my voicemail. If you give me a call, I will check my voicemail. But just let people know that you're thinking about them. It doesn't have to be a whole long conversation. You don't have to walk something from somebody. Honestly, I just text people sometimes. I'm like, hey, you're like, I did this to 26 couple days ago. I was like, hey, I just seen this thing and it reminded me of something that you said. I really appreciate that conversation. And you're a dope human being. It's fine. And I didn't tell him I wanted anything. He didn't respond back to it. But Instagram has that thing where they tell you if he's seen it, so I know he's seen it. That's all I wanted. That's literally all I wanted. So I'm gonna read this much less depressing poem and get the hell out of the way. My name is Alexander, so on Tuesday. I am the Tuesday-Xavier collective. My work is a very long, ramble-on story about what it's like to be severely mentally ill in America today as a Black person. The title of this poem is, and thank you so much for publishing this entire title. Hashtag long titles were a thing long before long hashtags. That's one of the hashtags that I use on Instagram, so you can find me. Bring Me to the Horizon is just one in a long list of musical influences, and the theme of never-ending sadness was inspired by some of their older music that I still listen to because a part of me never grew out of being edgy or close to the edge. I mean, I'm wearing light bulbs for earrings. I'm a little edgy. Don't test me, Alright. The problem with trying to do the same thing twice is that you never wind up with the same result. That may feel like a whole bunch of words strung together, but that was the epiphany I had today. I've been trying to cure myself of depression for years. I've taken every single drug that you could possibly think of. Said yes to things that smoked like Reggie and tasted like battery acid. Said yes to tasting other people's names on the prescription pills. Said yes to putting things into a nose more comfortable with sneezing than snorting. Said yes to letting my life fall apart by passive choice since every active choice seemed to lead to destruction. I used to think depression meant self-destruction. Depression is pause. Do you really want to stop here? Self-destruction looks enticing when nothing in your life is shining, no matter how beautiful it actually is. I had to learn that you could reverse self-destruction. I had to learn that doing a ton of drugs only made me fall deeper into depression. The pauses became longer. The calls from the void became stronger. There's only so high you can get before even the high hurts. Sometimes that flight you take is a setup for a fall. No parachute. Ground swallows you whole, and the bottom will open up beneath you after the pain sets in. I had an epiphany. Small towns are not cute, quaint, or quiet. Small towns are dirty and unkempt. Not enough people to pay the property taxes, historic buildings falling apart. The streets are riddled with the needles of need. The streets are lined with the screaming voices of too long, too little. Today, the streets tell the stories of those who live in the now, and they are sad, and they are addicted. They are underfunded and undereducated. The world is passing them by. Rewind. The world is passing them by, refusing to stop by and say hello. But we can build another bar. We can build another fast food restaurant. You know what this town really needs? Buffalo Wild Wings. Build another place for you to spend your hard-earned money. Do not spend your money on real people with real problems against poor local artists. Ignore reality. Trans people, hi. That's me, I'm a trans person. Trans people are a reality. That black life does matter. That immigrant may not be your physical neighbor, but you should love them anyway. The rest of the world is just as depressed and lost and wondering as you are. You should love it anyway. I had an epiphany. My depression is never going to leave. I will always feel the sadness of an entire generation of trans women taken from their bodies too soon, the casket and echo chamber of a life unlived, dreams unfulfilled, safety standards unmet. I will always feel the weight on my shoulders of a collection of trans women who have no voice, who do not have the environment or the ability to stand up for themselves. I have the privilege of living in a country where I may not be free, but I am allowed to express rage. I am not tolerated, but I can get up and stand up and rage. I am not tolerated, but I can get up and stand up, rage. I am allowed to feel the smoky heat of a fire burning, this fastest flag burning, anger, sadness, rage. I counterbalance the weight of expectation with trinkets of my own design. Objects I walk past say, hello, please take me, so I keep my steampunk goggles that came from Greenfield, a place I will never return to. I keep my dollar earrings from a market that looks like it's rebuilding from American help, but a bomb unloaded in the middle of a bazaar only feels bizarre to those who do not understand the damage a bomb can do in the middle of a bazaar. We do not understand the power of bombs. We prefer guns, like good Americans. I keep my wristbands of an anime I've never finished. I keep my face painted, the wild styles of unconventional beauty. I keep my nails painted in the colors of the wind, the rain, the eroded gravestones of my past lives, these spirits that live inside and outside of my body that will never stop talking. Not forever, anyway. I wear blue goldstone everywhere I can, even though I forgot it today. Yes, blue goldstone is man-made and was given to me by a woman who knew I was still a risk to never see tomorrow. She gave it to me hoping that I would remember that even if I don't want to see it, tomorrow will be beautiful for those that do. I want you to see tomorrow, not as a promise, but as a gift. And then I woke up the next day. The next day, I had an epiphany. I don't want to wake up tomorrow. That's okay. The sadness will never end. There's so much more to life than just sadness. Life is about reading a book of poems, laughing at your favorite comedy, dancing in public like no one is watching, or dancing in private where no one is watching like no one is watching because no one is watching. Writing a list of all the things you want, reading it out loud, burning that page and making it happen. And that's witchcraft. You can all be a witch today for $9.95. You must pay me now for giving me that tip. Life is about the butterfly that dances between dancers, landing on hats and heads, posing for the cameras and enjoying a life outside of a cocoon. A cocoon is meant to protect you as you grow. Never protect yourself to the point that you forget to grow, get out, stand out, grow. Life is music, story, dance, rhythm, beat, heat, smoke, fire, water, void. Life is death, birth, sadness, emptiness. Life is not without meaning. I had an epiphany today. Life is full of sadness. And for those who deal with clinical depression, the sadness will never end. You are not defined by your sadness.
Satchel is next.
I'm really short, so. I want to start by saying I am not a poet. I am not an artist in a way that a lot of people consider art. When you walked in the building today, you walked past some names that were chalked outside. And today is about epiphany. And so I wanted to share a little bit of what I do. My name is Satchel, and I am a local organizer and activist, and I work for Black Liberation. And one of the things I do is work to hold IMPD accountable. And so the names that you saw when you walked in today are people who were killed by IMPD. Aaron Bailey was the man who really got me involved with IMPD. IMPD killed him June 29th of 2017. And my life has never been the same since that day. So I did write a piece about Aaron and about the journey I took with his daughter to try and get justice for her father, which we did not get. The officers were not ever indicted, and in fact they are still employed by IMPD today. And so what I hope to do is inspire others to get involved in the process of holding those accountable who continually take Black lives without a second thought. My piece today is titled, Thoughts of a Revolutionary, to Aaron. I sit in the chair, ear pressed against paper-covered wall, hand holding out sound on the other ear, as I listen for words which will never come. Pace back and forth, waiting for affirmation that this time justice will be spoken. Hoping for an open door where faces will shine, glistening with the tears of progress. Time stands still. While bodies sit round table, he speaks volumes we have memorized from ages ago. Song on repeat, copy and paste, deja vu, Groundhog Day. You see, ma'am, he was dark, it was dark. There's only so much they can do when they fear for their lives. I wonder if justice sounds so elusive in other languages. Does it come with so many exceptions? Do they understand that it is not in limited availability? That you do not have to take it from one to be able to give it to another? I sit in the chair. I hear the wails from the other side of the paper-covered walls. Door as wide open as bullet-riddled backs. Hearts crumpled like yesterday's front-page melanated mugshot. I weep. There will be no justice for Aaron. Hashtags turn into heartbreak, and the story repeats. I sit in the chair. I pen poems and write websites. I try to find ways to make justice sound not so elusive in English. I spent countless nights recounting the counts of the clock in the 60 seconds of that car chase. Back windows turned into lace by badged bullets, ankles with bracelets that removed him from home, entire existences extinguished with no asterisk. 19 cases, no investigation. How long are we going to pretend that IMPD doesn't stand for I'm more prone to die? I do not sit in the chair. I kneel on the sidewalk, fingers dusty, brow furrowed, messages scrawled across pavement that even water cannot erase. Aaron Bailey, Aaron Bailey, Aaron Bailey, until my last.